Hi, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you're watching us. Welcome to Bold and Brave Conversations with Dr. Loretta, where we talk to people who were bold enough to change their lives and brave enough to walk in it, where they tell their stories of change and triumph. And we welcome you today on this wonderful Saturday afternoon or evening. We welcome you. The first thing I wanted to tell you about is our Bold and Brave conference that is happening in Charlotte, North Carolina on September the 27th and the 28th. On the 27th, we will be hosting a first aid CPR course. And this first aid course is, not first aid CPR. Loretta was wrong. We will be hosting a mental health first aid course. And basically, that mental health course is designed to help get people settled, to learn about the different types of mental disorders and to be able to recognize them. And so it was just like kind of like a first aid, that a CPR, regular first aid course we would take, that we would learn about ways to sustain life until we can get help. It's the same thing, except for it deals more with mental health. And then also on the 28th, we will have our speakers. We have a wonderful lineup of speakers. We have speakers who are going to come to you and talk to you about how fear impacts your body and ways that you can change that negativity into something that you can use. We'll also have speakers who will be talking about selling your brand, selling yourself. You want to change, you want to make money. We all want to do that. But the most important thing is, once we make the money, how do we keep it and sustain it? So we'll have speakers that will also be talking about our finances, our financial future. We have a mental health panel that will discuss how our community can support those within our community that may have mental health disorders. What can we do? And we'll also be talking about unifying the church. How do we unify the church with the community? So as you can see, we have an array of topics to choose from, and we hope that you will be joining us again in Charlotte on September 27th and the 28th. Ticket information will be shown on the screen, so you'll be able to grab your tickets. Now, I would like to introduce you to one of our speakers from our Bold and Brave conference in Charlotte. We have the beautiful Miss Melissa Rose is going to join us today. She is an autoimmune disorder specialist, and she's going to talk to us about how that disease impacts our lives, what are some of the common causes, or what they believe may be some of the common causes, and as well as what can we do as individuals to help prevent from having this disease. We want everybody join me in welcoming Miss Melissa. Hello, Miss Melissa.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, good. We are all well over here in the desert. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to start. Wait, first, before we even start into our Q&A and our questions, I just want to tell everybody how excited we are to have you at the Bold and Brave conference this year in Charlotte. You come to us with a wealth of information, and so for that, we are so excited to have you, and we thank you, thank you, thank you so very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I enjoy talking about autoimmune, obviously, but with the intention of empowering people
Right.
to take back their lives and take back what they have started out with. Like, we always start out young and exuberant
Yeah.
and full of dreams and all of that, but then sometimes something happens, and there's a lot we can do about that.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your clinic, where you're located, kind of give the people a little background about you?
Oh, sure. So I am a Montana, USA girl, um, born and raised here. Went away for school and came back. But my practice is both national and international because we're
Mhm.
able to serve individuals over the computer, over Zoom. It really makes it so we can serve anybody inside the US as well as internationally. So
That
very,
is
very fun,
magnificent. That is the blessing of technology that we have now, that people
right?
can, you can expand beyond the borders of where you are located. So I just want to go ahead and we're going to jump right in. We're not going to hold up the questioning. We're going to go right into it. So I guess the first question would be is what is autoimmune disorder?
So in a nutshell, it's when the immune system becomes dysregulated.
Mm-hmm.
So the immune system's main job is to surveil and just kind of keep a watch over everything and only start to freak out if something actually needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
So driving an action, protecting the body, doing whatever needs to be done to protect the body, and then going back to rest.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when we have an autoimmune condition, it means the immune system is no longer just surveilling. It's either hypersensitive or it's depressed and not able to actually do what it needs to do, or flip-flops between the two. The normal, just easy rhythm of the immune system is no longer there. So at the very base level, that's what an autoimmune condition is.
So before our session, I did a little research to look more into this disease. And I was really surprised by what I saw when I looked into it. I was looking at the numbers and I realized that women are 2 to 3 more times more likely to develop rheumatoid arthritis. We also see that MS, women are 2 to 3 more times likely to develop MS, as well as thyroids. Some studies say 7 to 1 and others say 10 to 1 for women developing this disease. And I'm just wondering, is there something that we could possibly do to prevent this, or is there some environmental factors? What plays into this that women are so much more likely than men to develop this disease or disorder? Excuse me.
I love that question because there are so many ways to answer this. But in a nutshell,
yes,
would be that we as ladies, a lot of times we are not allowed to speak and fight for our truth and what we need. We're kind of trained up, even as littles, to be quiet and to not say what's going on or what we need or that we feel unsafe. You know, we don't know how to communicate in a really good way. And sometimes it's, you know, blowing up and just really telling somebody off. And then you get in trouble for that because you're the kid and you're in school and, you know, all the things.
Okay.
And it starts there. And a lot of times we're not taught how, and I love what you're doing at the Bold and Brave conference around this to really help people understand how to have emotion, be with emotion, and how to let that flow through, how to actually work with that. We're not told how to do that, right? Most of the time, we're not taught how to do that. And so things come in and they sit and simmer and we don't know what to do with it. So it remains in the body. And this is part of the talk I'm going to share is our body cells actually are imprinted and remember the trauma.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about dysregulation in the immune system, at the very core and base piece, this is a player, a real player. And this happens for kiddos like gentlemen too. Growing up, they're not allowed to speak. They're not allowed to say what they need, or they're trying, you know, you got to be this way.
Yeah.
And you can't be yourself or it's not okay. So I feel like this is a huge, huge piece for us as we're walking into, you know, are we, and even thinking about it, are we at risk for autoimmune condition? Why is it more for gals than for gentlemen? You know, there's a lot there. There's a lot of research being done around that right now because now it's becoming so very apparent the interconnection between what happens to us, especially in our young formative years, and what actually manifests later.
So if I'm understanding correctly, one of the things that contributes to that disease is we internalize what's happening externally, and we internalize that. And because we're not speaking about it, or because we're not doing the things that are needful, we're not seeking counseling, we're not doing the things that are needful. We just sit in it, and eventually it starts to kind of build up in our body, which in turn can create these autoimmune disorders and these diseases within us.
Yep.
That's one of the things that Dr. Linda said when we were one of our other speakers last night. She wrote a book about the power of conflict. And that was one of the things that she said, that our emotions do not have to be in our disagreement. And so when we have disagreements, if we learn how to have disagreements, then we can learn how to get those things off of our chest and out of our body, so they don't become imprinted, but they just become something that just happened and just kind of goes on in our body. That was really good information. Thank you, Dr. Melissa. So when we look at the autoimmune, can you share with us what role diet and nutrition plays in managing that?
It's huge. So I want to pop back just for a half a second to your original question, because this is something that I've been following in my clinical practice, is how much or how many of my clients that come in with like advanced fibromyalgia or advanced different types of autoimmune conditions that can have all different names.
Yes.
How many of them have had early childhood issues? So far, and this could change, but this is just what I have so far, is that 100% of my fibromyalgia clients have been sexually assaulted before the age of 5. And most of them have not been able to speak of it. And so I'm thinking of one client in particular. She was in her late 50s, and I was the first one that she was able to share that with. And then we were able to start working with opening that door and that conversation. And she started working with a trained professional around the trauma piece. And it really started to change her recovery trajectory. So when we think about, how deep does this go? It can sit and be a part of our world or a part of our bodies, actually, until we decide to start facing that and talking about it. So sorry to jump back just a little bit.
But that's okay, because that's good that's okay, because that's good information, because there are plenty of both men and women who have suffered and have been sexually assaulted. And it's good to know, because a lot of people who have been sexually assaulted won't talk about it. They don't want, especially males. We don't want to talk about it. It happened. It's over. And those things kind of sit on us. They sit down in our chest. They sit in our hearts and our minds, and they do imprint. I can say for myself, as a child who was sexually, it does imprint, and it impacts the decisions that even at 50, it still impacts the decisions that I make even at 50. And when I was raising my children, the stress level, especially when around, my children, was no. So there was always a level of anxiety when a stranger approached, or if there was someone who tried to really get close to the children, there was a level of stress and anxiety that came along with it. So I certainly can understand and see how that could create disease and disorder. I can also see how, because even as I think a little bit more, and maybe you can answer this question for me, because I think about when we have those moments, or at least when I have those moments, my body tense up.
Yep.
There's that tense, and it takes a while, or a really good masseuse to get your body back to relaxing to its natural state.
Yep.
Well, that is great news. One of our comments it actually was a question and a comment. It says, so our mental and emotional illness that manifests physically.
That's a piece of it, yes. Because and I'll just kind of draw out, like, create for you kind of the typical progression, what this can look like.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go right back to what you just shared about when there's something comes in your body, literally tenses up, right? You're instantly on guard. Your immune system is too. All of the hormones that are flowing and being governed by the pituitary in the brain is flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's on red alert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ready to fight. Your mama bear is ready to go.
Yes.
As a result of what happened back here.
Mm-hmm.
If this hadn't happened back here, this response in the body, it might happen a little bit, but it wouldn't be so red alert going on. So when our bodies live in that red alert space,
mm-hmm.
there are all kinds of different, and I'll go through this in my chat a little bit more.
Yes, don't share too much. If you want to hear the rest of what Melissa has to say, you have to join us at the Bold and Brave Conference happening in Charlotte, September the 27th and the 28th. I just want to say, y'all see the quality of speakers that we have. So you have to get your ticket. It is for you. That will be the best investment you can make into yourself, right? Yes. So the next question that I wanted to ask is, what is the common misconceptions around autoimmune disorder? What are some of the common misconceptions?
I love that question. And my heart is just going simply because that is one of the reasons why we've created autoimmunerecovery.org. Because, and I know it's an audacious, hairy, big goal, but we want to be a voice to change the societal narrative around what happens when you get an autoimmune diagnosis. Because right now, and this is a straight up myth, is that when you get an autoimmune diagnosis, that there is no recovery. Just take the meds, get ready to get worse, figure out how to modify your life, and let's see if we can control the symptoms, and Merry Christmas. It's not going to be fun. And that is straight up not the way it is. Because your body has the ability to rebalance. And for each body, it's different. And we need to understand what's causing that for you. But when we do that and we address those causes and give you the tools to continue to address them, the body literally can recover.
That is good, Melissa.
That is the biggest misconception I can think of.
But that's good, because that is what most of us are told, that if you got arthritis, once author is coming, and once author is come, you just take the anti-inflammatory medicine and that's it. You just have to deal with it. You get gout. Don't eat this food. Don't eat that food. And then you take the medicine and you'll be okay. And I'm glad you said that. Can you give us an example? Say, what would be, say, if you had a patient, can you give us an example of something you've done in the past to help a patient recover from one of these diseases?
Oh, I've got a ton of them, but I'll give you the one that's unfolding right now. So I literally just did an interview with this client, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago, I suppose. He was finally ready to tell his story. But this is a gentleman that is middle-aged, and he's had multiple sclerosis for 18 years and had gotten to the place where he had to wear braces on his legs and braces on his arms to be able to walk. He was too stubborn to give in to a wheelchair, and bully for him, but that was his world. So now we've been working together for a while and doing just what I've described to you, really helping unwrap and unravel what was causing everything for him. He's walking without supports. He is
Wow.
up and going all day long. He is considering a new career. And he's like, I get to live again. And heck yeah, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm down for, when we get to see actual recovery. And is it fast? Not generally. Sometimes it is, but not generally.
But I think sometimes if what's causing our disease has been learned, I can tell you as an educator, it takes a while to unlearn what you've already learned, especially if you've learned it wrong.
Exactly.
So I could see where it could take time to start getting over fear, which is one of the things that you're going to be talking about at the Bold and Brave conference, is how do we use fear in another way? How do we start overcoming fear so that we don't get to this point where we have to come see someone like yourself for treatment?
Exactly. Yeah.
So this has been absolutely beautiful. For those of you who are watching us at home, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to type your questions in the chat. We have a couple more minutes, and we can share I'll share your questions with Miss Melissa, and we will answer your questions. I think I have the one more question that I have for you. We talked about what we could do to avoid it. We can be mindful. What can we? Well, I know we didn't. We talked about some of the mental things, but what can we do to avoid it?
Oh, there's so many things that I could share, but I think if I was going to boil it down to just a few things, one of the very first things would be eat real food, not something out of a box. And that's tough because our lives are busy and we're doing all the things, right? But eat real food. If it is made in a factory or comes in a box or a package, let's skip it. That's one of the best things you can do. Number 2 is take time for you. Have the courage to look at the things in your life that are out of balance, especially if you're in a stress situation that is constant. Like if you're in a job that just you hate it or you feel unsafe, or if you're in a relationship that is it's just killing you on the inside. Have the courage to face little bits of that or ask for help around that for yourself. The third thing would be notice any symptoms that are coming on, because a lot of times for autoimmune conditions, it starts slow. It's one symptom and then it kind of starts to gather steam, and then we get another one and another one. Don't wait until you're full blown, like your left side is numb and you can barely walk. Please don't wait till then. At the very beginning, when your intuition is starting to say, something's not right here, find a practitioner that is open-minded and is ready to do investigative work to help you figure out what's causing this. That's when to catch this. So you're not looking at 30 years of multiple sclerosis or fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis. You're looking at 2 or 3 months and then being able to recover.
The first thing you said was eat real food. Then you talked about relationship things, dealing with relationships, taking time for yourself. And for many of us, we've trained ourselves in these ways, in these habits. We've trained ourselves. And I want to encourage anyone who is watching this. The first step may be the hardest, but you're going to have to take it.
Yeah.
And change your lifestyle, change your diet. I often say one of the things that I say is you have to deal with your Amalekites so your children don't have to, in reference to David, because if Saul would have took out the Amalekites like he was supposed to, then we wouldn't always hear the preacher preach about how David asked God, can he go get his stuff? And he said, go get your things. So, that sermon wouldn't be heard because Saul would have eliminated the problem.
Yep.
And I say this especially for us as African Americans, there are foods that we know that are bad for us. There are foods, and then if you go to the South, period, there are foods that we know that we eat that are not good for us. But because tradition says eat it and eat it, we pass it down generation after generation, and we eat these foods. And then we turn around and find out, well, we got type 1 or type 2 diabetes. And it's like, well, and it becomes the statement becomes, well, my mama had it. My mama had arthritis. Well, my daddy had it. You get used to the doctor saying, well, do you have a family history? And we get used to checking those boxes. And those are some of the simplest things that we can do to avoid the check box list. Exactly. No, I don't have diabetes. No, I don't have high blood pressure. No, I don't have arthritis, because I took the steps. I took the time to learn myself, to relax myself, to go on vacation by myself. I took the time to get away from those relationships that were not healthy for me. You know what? I love you, baby, but I think you and I need to, it ain't nothing it ain't you, it's me. We need, and that goes for both friendships as well as relationships, because friendships can be sometimes even more taxing than relationships, because friendships you'll hold on to a little bit longer. Relationships is like, I just met him, it's okay, he's toxic or she's toxic, so you kind of deal with them a little bit differently. But I want to encourage anyone who's watching this today. Melissa gave some great pointers. Start the process today. Change your diet. Don't keep eating the same things that made your mama and your daddy and your aunties and your uncles sick. Change your diet. Try to get out the house, move around, exercise, create some time and space for yourself. If you only walk around the block, then take the walk around the block. Do that. Take the time for yourself. For those of you who believe and who pray, ask God to give you discernment about which relationships that should be in your life and which relationships should not. God, is it time to cut them off? Or is it me? Do I need to do something differently to maintain and sustain this relationship? But I think to avoid dealing with Arthur, as my mother used to say, oh, that's just old Arthur. I can't, that's old Arthur today. Arthur, it's sure getting ready to rain. My Arthur done started cutting up, to avoid that. We can take these simple steps of prevention in order to keep ourselves from getting there. Thank you so much for sharing that, Miss Melissa. That is great. And we do have some questions that are in our chat. Okay. So she wants to know, what possible symptoms could she have missed? This is from Miss Tendo.
So sometimes symptoms have started so early that we don't know that they are a symptom. We don't realize that they are not normal, because they're kind of are normal, right?
Right.
So, for example, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I'm completely recovered, have been for 8 years now. But I started with symptomology when I was 9 years old. I didn't know what it felt like to be able to be a kid without being tired. So one of the things that I would suggest for you is, we have a free resource on our website. If you go to autoimmunerecovery.org, it's the functional assessment form. And it's a really long form with symptoms on it. You can actually check the boxes, and you can get a good idea of what is actually a symptom for me and what did I think was just normal, and it's really not. So that might be a resource to help you kind of answer that question.
Okay, great. So that would help with you understanding what was a symptom and what may not. So she says, even figuring out triggers have been tricky for me. Flare-ups seem to come from nowhere.
I hear this a lot. And I love that you're paying attention to trying to find your triggers. I just want to celebrate that with you right now, simply because so many people don't even pay attention. So continue to do that work. One of the things that I would recommend is to start journaling your food, water intake, movement, and bowel movements, and start to watch for patterns when your flares come, because a flare does not come without a reason. So literally, we're kind of turning this into a little bit of a science experiment to start noticing, okay, when does the flare start? What happened 1 to 3 days before that flare started? What did I eat? What did I do? What was my situation? So we can kind of start tracking back to understand what actually kicked this off for you.
Oh, wow. That was good. And that makes sense. That makes sense. So we're kind of wrapping up. We're at our final end point. So I want to leave you with an opportunity to share a final word with the people before I tell them all about what to expect at the Bold and Brave conference.
Awesome. So if I could leave you with one thing, it is that you are the king or queen of your wellness. A lot of people will tell you that you are not, but you are. You hold the keys to what your life looks like today and tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. Let it go. And you have the power inside. Your body literally has everything that it needs to recover. And I would challenge you or invite you, whatever you want to say, to take that into your heart, into your awareness, that you can be well. It's possible.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Miss Melissa. And we look forward to seeing you in Charlotte. We're about 30 days out. So we look forward to seeing you within the next 30 days. You have a magnificently wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Take care.
Hey guys, wasn't that a great talk? Miss Melissa did a wonderful job sharing with us all about the autoimmune disorders and what we can do to prevent us from having them. Just the little simple things: change our food, mental health. Let's go see about our mental health. Stop pretending like it's not happening, because your body knows that it's happening, and your body knows what is happening and what has happened. So your body is responding to it. Go check and have your mental health regulated. Go talk to someone if you need to talk to someone. So now what I would like to do again is invite you to join us at the Bold and Brave conference that is happening in Charlotte. If I've said it like 20 times, it's in Charlotte on September the 27th and the 28th. And so you're wondering, what should you expect at the Bold and Brave conference? Here's what you should expect. People have asked, what should they expect at the Bold and Brave conference? You should expect experts coming from across the country to share their knowledge and their wisdom with you about ways that you can boldly and bravely walk in the change in your lives. We want you to leave the Bold and Brave conference confident, knowing that you're able to maintain and sustain the choices that you've made in your life. On Friday, we will have a full day session of mental health first aid. You will receive a certificate for that. And basically, mental health first aid is designed for you to be able to calm a situation so professional help can arrive. And then on Saturday, time to go to work. This is where we have all our experts that are going to come to you. We're going to talk about everything from the art of conflict all the way over to how fear actually impacts your physical health. We're also going to be talking about the power in unity. The unity of us coming together collectively as a people, as well as the unity in women and men separately, how we can all propel each other to see success in whatever areas of our lives we are walking in. So again, we invite you to the Bold and Brave Conference happening September the 27th and the 28th in Charlotte, North Carolina. For more information, go to boldandbraveconference.com, and we'll see you there. Be blessed. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We pray to see you in Charlotte. Remember, I love you, but God loves you best. Bye. Have a magnificent evening.